Hello and welcome back to this channel here on DCD. My name is Tam Pledger. I will be walking you through today's talk. We are joined in the studio by Calvin Nicholson, Senior Director of Product Management at Legrand. Thank you so much, Calvin, for coming on and talking us through this episode. We'll be touching on power hardware for high-density environments, seeing a lot of change across the industry in this space. I mean, as we are seeing more high-density facilities come on and be deployed, from your perspective, Calvin, what's actually changed for design over the last few years, especially at that cabinet level?
Thanks, Tim, for having me on. There have been a ton of changes, right? I mean, densities continue to go up. There's just no question. The need for the additional power is ever evolving. And so what we're seeing is that North America used to be a lot of 30, 32 amp. Then we said, oh, we're going to go high density, 60, 63 amp. But now we're selling a ton of 100, 125 amp PDUs because you have to have the power. So from the PDU side, it is higher kW, and in some cases it's multiple PDUs within the cabinet itself as well. So not just two, but in some cases four to get to these higher densities, right? On the AC side. On the DC side, obviously open compute is what people are talking about. We're into the ORV3 standard. It's evolved a ton over the years. There's a lot of advantages, some efficiency advantages, less cables. The densities are starting to go up now in the power shelves. So we're seeing a lot more interest in open compute, I think, than we've ever seen. And all you have to do is really go to one of the open compute events, and you would just see that it's packed.
Yeah, I mean, can you expand on that, Calvin, a little bit? I mean, as we're seeing rack power and densities increase, how are we seeing the way that people think about AC and DC evolve, especially when, we're talking so commonplace now about 800 volt DCs and other conversations like that?
Yeah, and those are interesting. That's an interesting debate. Obviously, people today are comfortable with AC, right? It's been around a long time. They understand how to use it, where it comes from, how it's distributed, safety, things like that, right? I mean, everybody's comfortable. Once you start talking about DC, completely different world, right, for our customers. They don't have that comfort level. They don't understand it. I used to make a joke that data centers love new technology as long as it's 10 years old, right? So the fact of the matter is that it's a conservative group, and we all know that uptime is key beyond everything else. So as they start to explore these DC applications, it's all new. In many cases, it's a different cabinet. It is a bus bar in the back, some cases a very heavy bus bar. And then you've got power shelves that are converting AC power to DC, putting that DC power on the bus bar. The devices are sliding into the cabinets and taking DC off the bus bar itself. And so there's some efficiency advantages. There's some less cables and some other things, but it's all new architecture, new way to support it. Safety is always in concern. So you really take people out of their comfort level and push them into something they're just not quite familiar with. And it's a challenge.
Calvin, kind of expanding on what you've mentioned there about the open compute, why is now the right time for Legrand to lean into open compute hardware? What are you trying to solve that legacy cabinet designs struggle with?
It's a great question. We've been watching open compute since its early inception. And actually, the original open compute wasn't that open, and it was 480 volt 277 with custom power supplies. Some other things, we actually provided all the PDUs for that for a couple of years. Then the power shelf design started to come out. And we were actually at those meetings and saw the first shelves. It was actually one of our old electro rack cabinets that was housing all that equipment. And we've watched it evolve since there. The ORV3 standard has come a long, long ways. I mentioned the lack of cables, the quick connect into the bus bar itself, the changes and the advantages of the shelves, the kilowatts going up. Really, the older standard was an 18 kW cabinet or power shelf. Now it's a 33 kW shelf, and they're going to continue to grow from there. So I think it fits the high density stuff better. So I think it was just a culmination of all the technical things. And then we started to see more interest in the marketplace and more customers asking about it. So it's been almost 2 years now that we've been heavily involved. We're all in. We're developing multiple bus bar solutions, multiple power shelf solutions. We've acquired a cooling company. We've already got a rear door heat exchanger cooler company. We've got the right T-series cabinets, bus bars. We're putting this all together in a system for our customers and really seeing some great results.
A lot of work there from the Legrand team, I see. But
Sure.
when we talk to the technology itself inside the cabinet, when you start, when you start adding more PDUs, higher current bus bars, those denser power layouts, what are some of the challenges that we start seeing?
Well, it's interesting that the bus bar rating obviously is based on the overall kilowatts of the cabinet. And it's certainly best that the bus bar at a minimum, even without any other devices, be installed, checked electrically, make sure it's safe, and ship the cabinet with the bus bar, which we are doing now. And then there's different philosophies on where you put the power shelves and how many. Redundancy, do you hold back one power supply? Do you add an extra shelf? There's some different philosophies there to get these higher kW environments going. On the PDU side, a little bit simpler. Really, it's how many PDUs can you fit in the cabinet to get the density that you would require. So it's and even then it's evolving, right? We understand the next power shelf will be a 72 kW shelf that we're looking at. So the densities will continue to go up to support these higher density environments, basically.
Are you seeing people underestimate the design complexities anywhere? Is there something common that you're seeing over and over again in the market?
Well, I think everybody is comfortable with the AC architecture, right? They understand how power is distributed. They understand safety. It's coming from an overhead busway or an RPP or whatever it happens to be within the environment. They get that and they're really comfortable with it. Once you get outside of that with the DC and, of course, now the high voltage DC that people are also working on, it's a whole new world. So really what we're seeing customers do is get cabinets, get bus bars, get power shelves, get devices, put it in a lab, test it, get comfortable with it, make sure that it meets their applications, and then look at implementing that in the field. So it's a lot more of a conservative approach because, again, there's safety, there's training, there's all these other things involved that the data center people have to be aware of to start to go open compute. And from the outside looking in, it's daunting. If you understand open compute, you can see it's not really that hard. If you talk to some customers on open compute, they would tell you that a lot of the suppliers are chasing the hyperscalers. So one of the hardest things about open compute is really getting somebody to talk to them and sit down and explain the technology and how to use it. And that is one of the things we do, whether it's our PDUs or open compute trusted advisor, and we'll help you set up that environment where you get comfortable with the new open compute solutions.
Well, you mentioned earlier that we're seeing a shift to those deeper cabinets, those 52-inch designs. How are you seeing that change cooling and power designs?
The cabinet, and I used to always tease that I could never sell cabinets because there's discussions about like how many holes are in the door, how much airflow there is or something. But now the designs are starting with the cabinet, right? And so there's a huge focus on it. Luckily, we do a lot of custom designs because a lot of these cabinets have to be customs to meet the applications. The size and weight of the bus bars are getting bigger. If you've got liquid cooling, you've got to mount a manifold and some other things. So really now the cabinet, wider, taller, because of more equipment, because of the higher densities, because of the cooling, has to be a focal point or none of the rest of it really works. So I think in it being maybe a little bit of an afterthought in the past, it's now a key design element up front. And especially as we're shipping open compute solutions, we're typically shipping them in the cabinet the customer wants for their testing.
Well, for the final question, and please don't give too much away, but for the Legrand team, what are you working on at the moment, and what kinds of things can we be seeing from you in the next few months, few years for data centers?
That's a great question, Tim. I mean, like I said, we're all in on open compute. So you're going to see a lot of new solutions, both on the bus bar side. We got some very unique designs there, in a rolled form copper design. I think you'll see some higher density bus bars with some liquid cooling. And on the shelf, we'll continue to evolve our shelves, increase high densities. We're actually adding our SRC, which is a product that supports like door locks and sensors. That'll be power DC in an open compute rack. We're seeing a ton of interest in our water sensors now that we're seeing a lot of liquid cooling. Those sensors do temp, humidity, and about 30 other things as well. So we're evolving the products as the customers need them, as we always have, right? Because about half our revenue comes from custom solutions, and really following what's going on in the industry, getting our customers what they need when they need it to meet their new challenges, because it really is a challenge and it continues to move very fast.
Well, speaking of new challenges, then what should people be preparing for now, even if they're not necessarily deploying it?
Well, I think it's just education and understanding, going to the events, going to Open Compute, watching the videos, get involved in the committees, looking at the new standards. I talked about power sidecars. There's a Diablo spec posted on the Open Compute site as an example. They've got some great training now to kind of get used to the terminology. It's different, of course. So not that we don't have enough acronyms and confusing stuff already. So you really just need to learn and educate yourself. Reach out to the vendors like us. We're here to help. We've got a ton of resources, and certainly we're available to kind of help you down that journey.
Thank you so much, Calvin. And to those watching, if you are interested in finding out more about power hardware for high density, please do reach out to the Legrand team, reach out to Calvin. I'm sure they'll be very happy to talk you through more of their thinking. But again, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you again on another episode here on the Talk channel.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye.